first and foremost just thank Kathy for taking the time to put this together. I truly appreciate the opportunity. I'm glad that we have this opportunity, even though the voting has started as of today. We still have folks out there that might be able to go one way or another based upon the answers that they find tonight. One of the things that I think is important is that throughout this campaign, I've knocked on now over 5,000 doors, and I've spent the last 2 months walking around the district. And so one of the things that I think is important for the voters is, now that we're down to 2 candidates, is to talk about the differences, because we do, John and I do have several differences between ourselves. And so one of those is going to be the fact that throughout this conversation, I'm going to be trying to focus on our different definitions of what is a conservative. Because both of us put conservative on our flyers, and we put that out there. But to each of us, that's a different definition. I feel as though, for me, I go out and I put conservative out, and I put Republican on all my mailers. I put it on all my signs. I put it on everything. John chooses not to do that. I go out as a conservative, and I do not align myself as a conservative with people who are traditionally Democratic folks. Because I believe that the people that are out there need to know where we stand and align ourselves. Another thing that we're going to go out, and I'll speak more on that subject as we go throughout, is experience. I believe that we need a representative at this time that actually has experience. And while John has spent some time on the Commissioner's Court, I have spent an excessive amount of time at the legislature working. When I was there years ago, as I went to UT Law School, so I have a law degree. I have drafted legislation. I've worked in committees. I have worked with other folks there, always as a legislative aide at that time. And then afterwards, I started a tracking service. I was the first to take and put legislation on the internet. You have to know the process very, very well if you're going to serve legislative information to the entire agencies, associations, people within the government. At that time, nobody else was doing it. Today, the government puts it up for free. Back then, they did not. Finally, you have our last couple would be our finances. The people who are backing us. I think it's important for people to understand who gives you money. You cannot, and people can endorse you and people can say, I'm supportive and I support. Neither John or I can say anything about that. That's not something that we as a candidate can choose. But when somebody gives you money, that is something you can decline. And I can tell you, I have declined dollars, because they were dollars that I did not feel I wanted to be associated with those associations. And so throughout the course, there are going to be this debate, and I'm going to be bringing up some of the things where John is taking dollars that I would not take. And those are out there on the public record. And finally, there's the issue of sort of what John put out there in a mail piece, which was integrity. And it came today, actually, to me. And and vote, it says, beware of Golman's false last-minute attacks and vote for integrity in this election. I don't know what that, but and then he follows up by the son of a high-dollar lobbyist doesn't have a record to run on. Well, you're right, I don't have a record because I've never been in government office. Of course I don't have a record to run on. High-dollar lobbyist, bringing my father into it. Is that integrity? I mean, my father is a Marine, served his country, came back, got a law degree, has served has been an attorney that's been doing oil and gas for 45 years. He is one of the principal people that has helped build the oil and gas regulatory industry in this state. He is well loved and well liked. I talked to Christy Craddock the other night at an event John and I went to, and all Christy could talk about was how much she loved my father and how much he's one of the few people that she would take the call from. That's the kind of integrity my father has. And I don't like the fact that my opponent would sit there and use it as something against me. I don't think that's integrity.
Okay, thank you. John, you're in.
Good evening. I am John Cyrier, and we did have a beautiful day here in Midland, Texas, and all over District 17. I also want to thank Kathy for putting this on. This is her second one that she's been able to organize. And if it's as good as the first one that you did, I'm sure it's going to be very well organized. So thank you for doing that. I also want to mention my wife, Rochelle, who's standing in the back. Many of y'all know, there's more than just myself and the candidates that make sacrifices during this. And Rochelle's been an absolute trooper through this whole thing, and I appreciate her very much, and I love her very much for doing this and taking care of me through this process. I was born and raised in Fort Worth, grew up in the town of Hurst. I have very thankful, I have a very good family, very great family actually. 3 older brothers, we were all raised in public schools. My father is also a Marine, like Brent's. He was a Marine in the Korean War, but he passed away when I was 18 years old. My father taught me 3 things. One is to work hard and never give up. 2 is surround yourself with good people and take care of them. And 3 is always do the right thing. After graduating from high school, I was fortunate to go to the school of Texas A&M University, where I got a mechanical engineering degree and was a distinguished student. I was in the Air Force ROTC. I was in the Aggie Band, Ross Volunteer. In my senior year, I was elected by my peers to be the commander of the Fighting Texas Aggie Band. After A&M, I had an opportunity, I should say, to join a commercial general contracting company. It was in Houston. They were a medium-sized company, but they were growing, and they tapped me at the age of 26, 4 years after I got there, to start their very first branch office here in Central Texas in Austin. So at the age of 26, this is when I found the town of Lockhart. I was going fishing to Port O'Connor, driving, matter of fact, right down the same road that we're at right now, past the beautiful restored Lockhart Caldwell County Courthouse. And on Monday, I had found a piece of property. The following Monday, found a piece of property in Lockhart. So my wife Rochelle and I have been here in Caldwell County for 14 years. In 2008, I decided to go out on my own. Now, as many of y'all can imagine, that's probably not the best time to be starting your own business. But again, with the support of my wife, I got to that very edge of doing that courageous thing, and she pushed me to go start my own business. And fortunately, I did. And that business today has over 51 employees that I'm responsible for. I bootstrapped that company with our own money. And we have been ranked in the top 10 in the last 2 years of the fastest growing companies in Central Texas. And more importantly, and what I'm most proud of, is been in the best places to work in Central Texas, the top 10 best places to work in Central Texas for the last 3 years. And again, it goes back to my father's principle of surround yourself with good people and then taking care of them. During that time period, actually in 2010, it was the Christmas before 2009, I should say, a week before Christmas, I was asked and appointed by Judge Wright to serve as a commissioner in Caldwell County Commissioners Court. As the county commissioner, I was then also asked in 2010 to run. I was only the second ever Republican on that commissioners court, and then also elected there in 2010. My last year, my 3rd year on the commissioners court, I was elected by my fellow commissioners and judge unanimously to be the Judge Pro Tem of Caldwell County. This has been just an unbelievable life experience. I'm very fortunate to have many experiences, but this has been a very unbelievable experience. It's been a whirlwind, I know, for Brent and I. It has come up fast, but it's also, it's just every day is a different day, and it's such a blessing to have this opportunity. I appreciate the support that's been given to me, the people from Karnes all the way up to Lee County that have joined our camp and have been giving us support. I appreciate all the support that I got during the first election, very proud, and it means a lot to me. It's a motivator to me, and I'm honored to be here, and I appreciate this opportunity.
Thank you, gentlemen. We're about to move to questions and answers. These responses will be a 2-minute maximum. We don't mind if it's less. Candidates, we're not going to allow time for rebuttal, but if you would like to follow up on a topic, you can take that time out of your next 2 minutes, or you can cover that in your closing statement. And as we did before, we'll remind you that we've come today to compare and contrast and find out what you think about what's important to your future constituents. If you need to qualify one of your answers with a disclaimer of, knowing what I know today, because this has been a quick campaign, we don't mind if you say, knowing what I know today, then give us your opinion rather than say, I just don't know or I haven't studied it enough. And so we'll ask that you give us, I think we'll be able to do it with this, We ask that you just give us your best answer. So as I mentioned before, I'm taking the moderator's privilege of asking the first question. It's the only question that I'm going to ask to get things rolling, and it may make some of y'all think of something else you'd like to ask. We do have extra forms, should be, Arnold has some, do you still have some, Arnold? In the back, there's some up here on this table, and there's some right here if you need some more blank forms. We don't mind if you want to submit another question. And just so that you'll know, we're not going to read your name. I would only call and ask you to come up and talk to me if I can't read your handwriting or I don't understand your question. We're not going to be naming who the questions are from. All right, so we'll start with the first question. And the first question will be answered by John, and that question is, on what issue do you think you and your opponent have the greatest difference in positions? Please explain the differences.
Not just one issue.
Yes, just one issue.
The difference in opinion, I would say, is working with others. I think that people are tired of Washington, D.C. style politics where nothing gets done because people don't cooperate. I have been a proven leader in not only in my private life, but also in my public life. I am one that's worked in nonprofits, that's also owns their own business. And I realize that it takes cooperation. You're not always going to get your way. You want to fight as hard as you can for something that you believe in. I get that, and I do that. But also, too, I also realize that I don't always know the right answer. It takes debate, it takes questioning, it takes asking others their opinion. There's also expertise out there. There's people that this is their passion. This is what they do. This is what their things are. And I've realized and I have found that to be successful, you must work with others. And you must learn to, sometimes you actually have to compromise. I'm not saying that you need to do that on everything, but sometimes you have to compromise to look at the bigger picture for what's best for the constituents, especially of a 5-county District 17.
Okay, Brent, do you want me to repeat the question?
No, I think I'll just follow up on John. I would agree, but there's one thing that, you're in an election, and to me in an election, the voters want to know who you are as a person, what your principles are. I think they expect of us that we certainly are going to be reaching across the aisle, doing the other things. That's not what, to me, an election's about. It's about defining who you are. So for me, when John says, I'm not going to put Republican on my card, and I'm going to put Democrats and Republicans and say, this is my idea of reaching out and going across, that's not the time and place to reach out. The time and place to reach out. 30 seconds.
I'm sorry.
Okay. The time and place for me to reach out is not in the election. So for me, what I am interested in conveying to the voters, and I can encapsulate it really easily in a phone call I received. There was a lady who called me and she said, "Are you a Republican?" She was very hot. I said, "Yes, ma'am, I am a Republican." She said, "No, are you really a Republican?" I said, "Yes, ma'am, I'm really a Republican." I said, I'm a Christian, I'm a husband, and I'm a father, and those are the titles I care about, but I'm a conservative, and that puts me in the Republican Party. And she said, "Well, I just got off the phone with your opponent, and I wanted to know, because I got a card from him, and I couldn't tell whether he was a Republican or a Democrat." And she said, "He told me you're a Tea Party." And I said, "Well, ma'am, I am a conservative. I don't know what the definition of Tea Party is, but I am a conservative." And then we went out and we shared about our faith with each other, and we found some common ground, and we found some ground we didn't find common in. But the point was, she wanted to know, what were my principles? Where was I standing? Here's a hardcore Democrat who said, "You know what, I'm going to vote for you because I know where you stand." And that's what I think is important.
Okay, I apologize for that. I have got to figure out how to use my own timer. Just a second before I ask the next question.
We're good.
Okay, so let me end that one. All right. And each time someone answers a question, they're going to turn around and be the next person to answer the next question first. This is going to go off in 10 seconds, okay? Ignore that. The question is, how do you feel about individuals and their concerns relating to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, and how does big business and wealth benefit us?
That's a fairly large question there, for 2 minutes. My feeling on liberty is that, I'll take the aspect I believe the question is driving at, which is, I guess where I would say my basis is the principle of conservatism. I mean, I believe in limited government. I believe right now that our state government has grown way too much in the last 20 years. 14 years ago was the last time I was tracking the legislative process. And in those 14 years, the Texas regulatory authorities have just gone amok, gone awry. We need to limit that kind of, we have too much regulatory. So to me, liberty is about limited government. It's about local government. The best government is the government that's local. It's not federal mandates, it's not even state mandates. We're talking about things that need to be solved at a local level. We need to spend more time. So for me, liberty is about limited government, focusing on local government, and what was the last part of that question? One question.
Life, liberty, the pursuit of happiness, and how does big business and wealth benefit us?
How does big business? Well, both John and I are business guys. And at one time, John, has a bigger business than I have right now. I think if you add up all my businesses, they may equate to one. But I had one that was in 4 time zones, if you don't count the offshore people I had doing stuff work. And I was flying all over the United States, and I put that aside. But I've certainly run big businesses, and I know what that has done. And I'm not anti-big business. What I do not agree with is a policy where we give handouts to large corporate entities. John, I don't think got a handout starting his company. I know I didn't get a handout starting mine. And I don't believe that we should go around, because the people who benefit, the detriment is the smaller business people, the people that are working that don't get those handouts. So I really believe people will bring their businesses here, they will work here, and we don't need to be doling out large handouts.
I'm just going to let that company go on if you'll give it a second. I just keep having to go backwards in my computer, so I apologize. John, do you want me to repeat that question?
I think I've got it, but if I miss something, feel free to remind me.
Okay.
First of all, liberty is God-given. It's not created by man. Liberty is not created by the government. So I agree that limited government, I experienced this firsthand through not only being a business owner and starting my own business, but also too serving with Commissioner Buckles here on the Caldwell County Commissioners Court. When the state or federal pushes down unfunded mandates down to our Commissioners Court or to our public school system, especially our rural public school systems, that is wrong. I'm for limited government. Get out of our way. I agree, it's local control. It's the people that are here that know what's best about their communities and what's best to be able to spend their resources, especially our hard-earned tax dollars. Talking about big business, for me, as a business owner and somebody that strapped hard, and I should look at Rochelle too, she's also a part of this, because we work together. We put our resources. We're the ones that we took the investment and put the risk out there. And I'll start with Obamacare and just how detrimental the healthcare system has been on a small, medium business like myself. With our premiums went up 44%. Think about that. Now, at small business, and we were new as we were growing, it showed up to be, each year it was going up about maybe 8 to 10%. 44%. And all that did was help big business. That's all that did was help big companies, because it hurt my smaller business. It hurt us because not only did I have to try to upgrade our salaries and everything to kind of catch up to the nice benefits that the larger companies could do, but also too, our employees were the ones that took that burden. The actual workers, my co-workers are the ones that took that 44%. I'm about limited government. That's our liberty. Liberty is produced by only God himself and not the government.
Thank you. All right, John. The next question, fair question. I'm a Democrat. How can I expect to be represented in District 17 by my House member? Consent that John are both Republicans is a fair question.
Well, like I said, I was only the second ever Republican in Caldwell County Commissioner Court. And right off the bat, I was questioned that quite often, actually. A lot of good people, and just, I'll even say my father in the 60s was, I remember as a kid growing up, he had always said he was a Democrat. And that changed because conservative Democrat, especially if you could go down, not only Caldwell County, but some in Lee County, but also in Gonzales and Karnes, there's a lot of Democrats. They're conservative Democrats. No different than when Judge Wright picked me, Democrat judge, appointed me, and said to me, he said, I am more conservative than you will ever be or any other Republican will be. And he meant that. Being that he's conservative, we have conservative values. I have proven, and you know, I get picked on, I do. I get picked on because I have Democrats that are on my supporter list. I have Democrats that ask to support this campaign. I'm not ashamed of that. These are good people, they're civic leaders, they've done a lot for the communities, and they've asked to support me. I'm not going to turn them down. They are good people, and they know, just in the past, that in the recent past, I've worked with them on issues. There's been some issues that they were scared that I was going to just vote just a hard Republican ticket without even talking to them. And sometimes I did. I voted against them. I voted against what they were asking for. But they at least respect the fact that I talked to them, that I worked with them, and I appreciate what they had to say. And so, if you're a Democrat in District 17, I can tell you that I have a proven record of working across the aisle with independents, with Republicans, with Green Party, with whoever, and I've proven that. I do have a proven record of that.
Yeah, I mean, again, I'll go back to, for me, to the Democrats. I have lots of Democrats I've talked to. Our district is filled probably 45% Democrat, 40-45%. So certainly there are a lot of Democrats. There are a lot of them have told me they're voting for me. But again, when I run a campaign, I take the position that I am a conservative, and they know that. And then we work from there. We recognize that where my principles are. There are going to be the way I reach out to Democrats, and I've said in the base, there are a lot of things we have in common. Like, you know, there are some things we know, and there are some things we do. But for me, as a Christian conservative, I reach out to a lot of Democrats that are Christians as well, and I say we have faith-based principles that we share in common. Debt is not a good thing. We're taught that. That's a biblical principle. We need to watch and manage our debt that we have as a state. We have too much of it. We've got a lot of debt. We carry second only to New York. We're supposed to take care of other people. We're supposed to look out and help those. Hand up, right? Not a handout. That's biblical principle. We both agree on that. The environment. There are things that are in the environment. These are things we are to be the good stewards of our environment. These are things we can find common ground on. And there are certain issues that people, you know, that we're not going to find common ground. I'm a pro-life guy. I'm a pro-life guy without exceptions. John in the previous candidate forum said he was pro-life but with exception in the life of a mother. He and I differ on that. That's someplace because for me, life is that conception and when the Lord takes it away from us. But those are the things that we're going to have some differences with Democrats. In terms of working with people, I sit on the boards, like numerous boards, work with lots of different folks in our local communities. Of course you're going to find people different. That takes place after you're elected, and I'll reach out to all parties, but everybody knows at least where I come from and where my principles are when I start.
Thank you. Now go away. You're next. You'll get used to it before the night's over. Okay, so Brent will answer this question first. At what point did you find out that Representative Kleinschmidt was not going to run?
To hear some folks talk about it, I heard it a month in advance of him even knowing himself. But yeah, no, I heard about it on a Saturday morning, and the reason I remember it was a Saturday morning is I coach six-man football, and we had usually we play on Thursdays or Fridays, and we had a Saturday morning football game, and so that was a Saturday morning, late November. I don't know. I do know that I got the call. I got the call from somebody, a friend of mine in Austin, who said there is seats up. I said, hey, you're joking. Yeah, right. And then he said, no, you ought to really consider it. And Cynthia and I have been praying about this actually a few weeks in prior to. And I kind of sown that little seed where you say, you know, honey, I'm thinking that, and put upon my heart that I might need to get back into government some way at the state level, but don't worry, the election was just over, and it won't be years from now, and don't worry, nothing's going to happen, because I know the Lord's timing, and 9 days later or something like that, this comes up. So, I considered it, and I said, okay, and then I called the principal Republican in the county, Paul Pompey, and I called him on Sunday, and he said, you know, Brent, I'm thinking of running. He just won county judge, and I went, wow, okay, guess I won't be having that conversation much longer, since we now will, possibly be running against each other. And Paul showed up at the Republican meeting the following day, and so that was when I found out. I don't know when Tim, I believe, announced on Thursday or Friday. I don't know which day he announced, but I got a call on Saturday morning, and so that's when. So I guess pretty quick after, but it was a press release, my understanding was. So anyway, that's just the answer to the question.
I'm looking up at Todd Smith here because it was, I look back, somebody else had asked me that question earlier when I found out. I found out it was the Friday before Thanksgiving. The Friday before Thanksgiving is when the public announcement came. And Todd Smith in the back texted me, I don't know, sometime late in that afternoon and told me the news that our state representative was resigning, and then he texted right back and said, are you running? And I went, what? So, like Brent, I was surprised, I should say, like a lot of people, very surprised at that. And then had several people during the week, so this is leading into Thanksgiving, had several people also ask that same question from different counties, not just Caldwell County, but from Lee and Bastrop County asking that question. And this Thanksgiving was over at my family's at this time, and so over Thanksgiving I put some thought into it. A lot going on in our life with the business and everything else that was going on, but after asking my wife, I think I asked her 7 times just to confirm, got her support, and I also have 3 other business partners. After getting their head nod several times, then it was like about a week after Thanksgiving, so like Thursday, early December, I believe it was, is when I threw my name in the hat. And that's when y'all started hearing my name, or at least a John Cryer guy for some. So.
This was such a great idea.
I'm watching Judge Brady, so I'll just.
Oh, y'all want to just keep doing what you're
Oh,
doing?
he's got a digital timer on him.
All right, well, we'll keep moving forward. All right, so I'm on my next question. John will go first. Will you vote for or against the Taxpayer Savings Grant Program legislation submitted by State Senator Donna Campbell?
This one might be one of those I need to hear more. It says tax savings.
Taxpayer Savings Grant Program legislation.
Well, and I know Donna Campbell is one to figure out ways for our state to save money. So my initial reaction would be, I would think so, but this is also a bill in the Senate that I haven't seen yet, or I haven't read. So, like I said, Dr. Campbell is pretty smart with money and pretty smart about saving Texans money, and so it'd be definitely something I would look into, need to do more research on.
I'm going to help John out there. I don't think he'd be in favor of it. Because this is a differentiator for us. And this is one of the questions. This is the infamous voucher. What people, say, taxpayer savings grants is another word for taking dollars that you have and moving them over into other accredited schools from public school systems. It's part of a school choice program, and it's a big differentiator between John and I. Because, see, we have a school system that over the last 20 years has gone from funding classroom teachers $2.50 to the classroom teacher for $1 to administration to 1-to-1. We have defunded teachers in this state through accountability because we keep layering account. We have a multi-billion, not million, billion-dollar accountability program that we keep throwing into making sure teachers know how to test, what to teach, when to teach it, how to teach it, whatever. And it has broken our system. And what Donna Campbell's proposing is school choice. School choice does not take money away from the school system. It actually